Hello, so today we'll talk about Nobara OS. Nobara OS is an amazing Linux distribution. It is based on Fedora and it added a lot of features on Fedora to make it very easy for Linux gamers and content creators to directly be productive out of the box by just installing this distribution. So to find out more about Nobara OS, we'll start with the installation and we'll give you a step ahead of all the things that you expect to have in Nobara if you want to use it as a production machine. So let us start first with the installation. Here, Nobara OS doesn't use the Anaconda installer, which is by default in Fedora. It uses the Calamares, which is the easiest installer. I don't know Fedora why they stick to the Anaconda installer. Let us see if they will change in Fedora 39 or Fedora 40. But here we have the Nobara installer. Let me make it bigger. So here, if you want, welcome to Nobara, I'll click next. It will put the location. You can change the location depending on your region and zone. I'll press next. Default English, default, next. Let me erase disk. And we put no swap. Okay. I'll click next. You put the name Nobara. You put the password. You click next. It gives you the summary. It is ext4, the partition for the boot, and for the system it is btrfs, and you install it. I have already installed it, that's why I just want to give you the Calamares installer and how everything will go. In installation it will take some time. It's not like Antix will take 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe it will take 30 or 40 minutes depending on your system. For me it took around 30-35 minutes to install. So when you click the install, it will take 30 minutes. I will not wait 30 minutes. We'll go directly to we will boot it again and we'll see how it is. So I have just booted, and if you notice here, the welcome screen, this is the most important thing in Nobara is the welcome screen. If you want to install Nobara, you don't need to update it in the terminal. It is not good to update it in the terminal because there are a lot of dependencies that Nobara uses, advanced dependencies or updated dependencies that are being used instead of the Fedora update system. So here, when you want to update directly, you need to go to the welcome screen, or there is some places here in Nobara where you can update your system. Do not use the terminal sudo dnf update. It will mess your system. So here it makes it simpler for us to install or update Nobara with the welcome screen. You can also find it from here. If you miss it, search welcome, you will get it here. Also in the favorites, if you notice, there is one with update system. You can click this one. It's very important to click and update the system before installing any other application that you need to install. So first, this is the welcome. In case you install it directly, it will tell you to update directly. I already updated, that's why I did not get it. But in case you get it and you put no, there's no problem. You come to the first step. There is here update my system. So you launch it in order to update the system. You put the password where you installed it. I already installed it. It will also install the Flatpaks. If you have Flatpaks, it will also install them. I already installed the Flatpaks, so there's no problem. All of them are installed. Okay, so Flatpak has been detected. Would you like to update all Flatpaks on your system? You can press yes or no. Let me press yes. You put the password also. So it directly updates your system and your Flatpaks. It's not called updates in Nobara. The developer calls it sync. So you are syncing the packages that are very useful for content creator to the Fedora ones. So you'll have newer packages which are compiled. So here everything update is complete. It is recommended to reboot for changes to apply properly. Reboot. I will not reboot now. So this is the update my system. It is essential to install the patented media codecs and libraries because they include FFmpeg, all the things that you need in your games, in your sound, in your encoder, in your videos, in your streaming. All of this you need to install this one, and it's the same. You click it and it will launch. Also there is the NVIDIA drivers. Make it very simple to install the NVIDIA drivers. There's also, if you want to have to install some software using the GNOME Discover on KDE, you can launch this one. If I want to install more apps from the software center, I can also launch this one. So directly it launches Discover. In case you are on GNOME, it will launch the GNOME software. Okay, so you can install all the programs, you can search it and install it. All the time you need to install it through this Discover, all the softwares that you need. Do not use the terminal. If you want to use the terminal, just update everything, update the system, and then install from the terminal. But if you have all these programs, you can search for them. Let's say I want to install Shortcut, for example. So Shortcut is available. Let me check the latest version. I think it has the June version. Distributed by Nobara and Linux. You have three options. You have Nobara Linux, you have the Flatpak official FlatHub 14.6.2023. This is the latest. You can choose whichever you want. You can choose the Nobara Linux, the Flatpak official FlatHub, or FlatHub. So you can install it from here. It is very easy to install. But these are trivial things for installation. The main thing that is important is afterwards. So here, let us recap what we did. We update the system, we installed the patented. I will click this one, but already I installed it, so that it did not do anything. If you have NVIDIA drivers, you have to click this one. If you want to install more apps, you can go directly to Discover, or you launch it from here, from the welcome. And if you need web apps, you can also install it, launch here in order to install them. So this is the first step. The second step is the recommended additions. These are the additions that we talked about that are the plus in Nobara, especially OBS Studio. OBS Studio, and if you install it in any other Linux distribution, it will be missing something. Let's say the browser plugin, or maybe the virtual cam, or maybe the game capture. There are 3 or 4 options. They are not installed because of licensing issues, encoders, and all of this stuff. So Nobara makes it easier when you install it from here. You notice here I already installed it. When you install it from here, it will install everything, and I will show you in a minute what I mean. The same thing also for Discord. It also gives all the things that you need for Discord, especially the sound, the video. All of this is already installed. These are done by Nobara, Kdenlive, and Blender. So there's also optional steps. For example, the DaVinci Resolve, in many cases it doesn't work on Linux, so that's why most of them use Windows for DaVinci Resolve. But there is here a fix up for DaVinci Resolve if your graphics card allow it, because we know that DaVinci Resolve in some graphics cards it doesn't work. But at least we have a workaround. We can try it here on your system and see if it works. There's also install Proton GE, and for the drivers for Xbox One, and also there is proprietary AMD drivers. You don't need them, but if you want to get them, if they are the newest ones, you can also launch them from here. The look and the feel, you can change the new themes and icons. I will not cover these because they are covered in KDE. You can do whatever you want in KDE, but these are new things that are very helpful if you need them. The troubleshoot, you can go to the Discord channel, and in the Discord channel you have to read the documentation carefully. That's why when I said update my system, in the documentation it says you need to update it, let's say from here, or from the welcome screen, or from the Nobara package manager, which is, if you go to the favorites, there is here the Nobara package manager. This is where, if you let me open it and show you how it is. Let me close this one, I don't need it. In the Nobara package manager, there is here also update system. So the updating the system is everywhere. Just don't use the terminal to do it. Everything else you can do it. Let me close it. It might take some time, or let us wait. Okay, so it took us some time because it is loading all the repos for Nobara Snapshot, Fedora, all of them. They are already installing the information here. That's why it took a lot of time. So here we have all the packages. You have Flatpaks, and there is the queue if you want to install some of the things when you update the system. But here what I'm talking about, let me go back to packages, is the update the system. You can update it from here, and that's it. The other thing is I wanted to talk about is OBS. I already installed OBS. Let me check it. So this is OBS. If you notice in Fedora, if you install OBS, although you install it from RPM Fusion, you will not see start virtual camera. The start virtual camera is very important for content creators. Let's say you have to use Zoom or Microsoft Teams. You can use the virtual camera of OBS, like you want to use a certain scene. Directly you use this virtual camera. This virtual camera is not available in Fedora or RPM when you install OBS. You can install it through Fedora by just installing a package v4 L2 loop back and restart your system. It will also install. Maybe sometimes you will have some problems with your camera, but it will work. So in many cases, if you are in Ubuntu, you also install this application, you will get this start virtual camera. But here in Nobara, there's no problem. It is already installed, and that's the way it should be. I don't know why OBS nowadays, if you install it in Arch or you install it in Ubuntu or in Fedora, it will not have this option. The other thing that is not available when you install OBS in Fedora or in the others is the browser plugin. The browser plugin is not available. There is a workaround in GitHub. You can install it, but you have to get the file or get the plugin from GitHub. Go to .config/obs-studio/ you put a folder called plugins, and you put this plugin, which is a Linux browser. It's called Linux browser. You put it inside this folder, and you can have this one. But here you have it also out of the box. The other thing that is not found in OBS is game capture. If you want to capture your game, it's better not to use the screen capture. It is better to use the game capture, because sometimes when you want to switch from a place to a place from a window, it will slow your system, or it will freeze. That's why game capture is important, and it's also available here out of the box. Another thing also is VLC video source. Also, you will not find it in your typical OBS studio. The other thing is Pipewire. There is here audio output capture for Pipewire input and output, and also the defaults. Some of them, as for me in Fedora, pipe wire is not included here in the audio input and the output, only ALSA and pulse audio. So these are very important things that should be available in OBS, and it is not available, and that's why the job of Nobara is to help you in these things. So if you are a content creator and you desperately need OBS, you definitely should install it as a production machine, not as a daily use maybe, but as a production machine it is very useful. Why not as a daily driver? Because as I told you, there is the updating system and the packages, you might have some problem. And also there's another thing, which is Fedora. Let's say you want to update from Fedora 37 to 38, it's a mess. And if you notice, if you go to the announcement on Discord, on their Discord channel, they give you the steps, 5-6 steps in order to update, other than the steps that a typical Fedora upgrade uses. So you need to install it again, or you have a problem. It's still young. Nobara is still young. I think after a few more years it will be a very mature and very useful distribution. But as a production machine, it is perfect. This is OBS. You don't need much. All is there. And another thing in Nobara I also have to speak about is, let me close, is we have Steam. Steam is also installed, so you don't need to go how to install Steam in Fedora and install it and all of it. Steam is installed, Lutris is installed, Proton is installed, Wine is installed if you have an application which needs Windows, and it's a special wine, not the wine that you install on Fedora. There's also some updated packages, especially for games which does not work on Fedora. There are special packages that you need to compile also to get it. In Nobara it is solved for you. So these are extra things that you need to think about, especially when you use Nobara. Another thing is, let's say if you have the graphics, you can have also Inkscape, also the latest version. All of the things that you need in order to make a production, in videos, and all of them, it is included in Nobara. That's why I like it as a production machine, and I'm thinking of making it for making videos. I directly install it and use it directly for OBS, for video, for streaming, for video recording, all of them. It is very useful to use Nobara in this case. Finally, I want to talk about Nobara. It comes with 3 versions. There is the special GNOME version, which is has special applications or extensions for Nobara. There is also the GNOME Classic and also the KDE. I have installed here, as you see, I installed the KDE. It is fast and it is responsive and everything works fine. As you notice, the OBS is amazing to use using this one, and I hope you enjoy it too. So that's it for today, and we will be back in another video.